In a world where change is the only constant, Mo Shamil stands at the forefront, guiding title professionals to not just grow their businesses, but to master the art of innovation. With every episode, you're handed the keys to unlock unparalleled growth and stay ahead of the curve. Get ready for a transformative journey.
Hello and welcome to the Title Agents podcast. I'm truly honored and privileged to have such a fantastic and wonderful guest. He's a legend in our industry, Mr. Patrick Stone. Patrick, do you like to be called Patrick or Pat?
Pat is fine, Mo, and I'm honored to be here. And it's a pleasure to be associated with you and be on your show. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, let me read a little bio about you. This is part of honoring you and your history. Patrick Stone is the founder and executive chairman of WFG. It's one of the 6 national title insurance underwriters in the United States. Born in 1947, Pat Stone served in the Vietnam War before attending Oregon State University, where he developed interest in history and art. He spent over 2 decades rising through the ranks at major title companies like Stewart and Fidelity before becoming the president and COO at Fidelity. In 2010, Pat founded WFG with the goal of bringing more efficiency and transparency to the title insurance industry through innovative technology like e-closings. Under his leadership, WFG has grown rapidly to become a national player, earning top ratings for its financial strength and stability. Welcome, Pat.
Thank you, Mo. Appreciate you having me.
The first thing that stands out off the bat on your background, how did you go from art and history to title insurance?
Well, I dabbled a little in grad school, and I didn't fit very well. I was looking for a job, saw an ad for a title examiner trainee. Had no idea what it was, but I needed a job, so I took it and got started in the business. I was a title examinee for a while. It was interesting. I posted a geographic slip plat, did a lot of courthouse research, searching. But I was, I think at that time I thought it was moving a little bit too slow for me. So I went off and became a stockbroker. I did that for a couple of years and didn't like that at all. They hadn't invented the word fiduciary yet. And
everything went. Everything goes.
And anyway, so then I decided I didn't like that. But the guy I had worked for before offered me a job to come back to the title agency. This was a small title agency in Hillsboro, Oregon. And I said, okay. And so I went back and he said, but I want you to get into sales. And, and I'm going to share this story with you because it's a lesson that I think we all learn one way or the other. But I had gotten some great sales training on Wall Street, spent a lot of time overcoming objections. I was good at it. But I found that what really made my career take off was my first wife, who were still friends. She said, don't come home without an order. So I would drive around looking for realtor offices with the lights on after dark, and to figure if the lights on, somebody's in there working on a deal, and I'd go in and I'd say hi, and you're working on a transaction. They say yes, but it's not with your firm. And I said, well, let me look at the preliminary title report. I'll tell you if there's anything you should worry about or address before you get to closing. And they would go, why would you do that? And I said, well, it'll help you in case there's something going on. I've been a title examiner, happy to let you know. So I started doing that, and then I started getting calls from people. But my point here is I was adding value. I was helping them. I was helping them be successful. And it got me a tremendous amount of business. I got so much business I couldn't handle the business I was getting. But that's what really launched my career.
So I should give you credits for the search and hold custom in the West Coast. I know title insurance is different in different parts of the country. And that's for the people in the East Coast and Midwest that may not be used to search and hold. That's so it started with you. That's a great value add.
Yeah, no, there's always some way that you can help your clients or your prospective clients be more successful. And, talking about your company or we give great service doesn't mean anything to anybody, right? if you can do something that helps them be more successful, then you're a part of their team, and they look at you in a whole different manner, and you will get their business.
So that evening, your wife let you in. You got an order.
Yeah.
What a powerful incentive.
Yeah.
So please just give us the progression in your career and how it went from there to, I guess, what's the next company you work for, and progression to Fidelity, and how you were in.
Well, so I was in sales for a while, and we wanted to get into the builder business, and I was kind of interested in that. So I started studying the process of getting plats approved, and started helping builders get subdivision plats approved, and help them getting through all the administrative bureaucracy they have to deal with. So we started getting a lot of builder business. I got to be the sales manager. And the agency got sold to Stewart Title. And the gentleman that was the manager ended up leaving, and they made me the manager. The day I became manager of the Stewart Title operation in Portland, Oregon, interest rates were 15.6%. This was in 1983. And it was a
15%.
Yeah, it was a real lesson in survival. There was virtually no mortgages being done. The S&L industry was dying, basically being killed. And we looked around how we're gonna keep the lights on, how we're gonna keep this going. And the one thing that would work would be seller carryback financing, but typically buyers and sellers were reluctant to use a contract because the buyer didn't know the seller didn't know the buyer. So we've started a seller carryback servicing department. And we promoted it that, yes, you can use a contract. We'll make sure that all parties are treated fairly, taxes get paid, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So the seller carryback servicing department was phenomenally successful. We started making a lot of money, and that helped my career take off with Stewart Title. I was with Stewart Title for almost 10 years. And then long story short, kind of got caught in the first oil shale crash in Colorado, in Denver. Had owned part of the operation in Denver, and it went south really bad. So it was kind of tough. Wanted to go back to Portland, found a company to buy, but I was having a hard time getting the bank to lend me the money. So I knew Bill Foley, and I had met him a couple of years before. But Fidelity at that time was doing about $90 million a year total.
Wow.
And I called him up and said, "Hey, I'll underwrite with you if you'll guarantee my loan." And he said, "Well, come on down and let's talk about it." Ended up going to work with for Bill, and Fidelity bought the company. And then I was the top manager of Fidelity for 5 years, and he made me president, chief operating officer. The company was doing $400 million, and I left 9 years later, and we were doing almost $4 billion. We bought 69 companies, and it was a lot of fun. It really was.
How was that experience? How was that experience working with Bill Foley?
Bill is probably one of the brightest people I've ever known. He really focused on the financial side, getting the money to make the acquisitions. I focused on the integration and managing of it.
That's awesome. And then when you launched WFG in 2010.
Yeah, I retired from Fidelity in early 2004. Bill wanted to move the company to Jacksonville, Florida, and I had a wife and a couple kids, and they didn't want to go. So we decided that maybe that was a good time to retire, and got into doing a lot of commercial investing. My nephew and I have done a lot of warehouses, and we did a medical office condo, and done a lot of commercial investing, and doing a lot of philanthropic involvement. I was chairman of the Santa Barbara Art Museum. I was chair of the Portland Oregon State University Foundation. Anyway, so I was staying pretty busy, but it wasn't the same, and decided I needed to get back in the business. I was on the board of First American when I came up with the idea. I was on the board of First American at the behest of a private equity company out of Boston that was a major shareholder. And I watched the downturn. I watched how the big companies were reacting to it. And I said, there's an opportunity here. So I started WFG first week of 2010, and started it with the idea. I really thought there'd be more change than actually occurred because of that financial upheaval. But I did think that the industry had to change. It had to become more part of the process, more involved in the process, more integrated with the lenders and the realtors. and actually be a little bit more concerned about the clients knowing what's going on. So I thought there was an opportunity. Things haven't occurred like necessarily exactly like I thought they would, but the opportunity was there, and we've had a lot of fun building this company.
Awesome. Can you, I know WFG is private. Can you share with us where WFG is right now as far as size and the markets you cover, and like
we're in every state, and we were very methodical in growing the company. We've never had any institutional debt. We still do not have any institutional debt. And the company is owned by Golden Gate Capital and myself. And we've been really very focused on building something that had a strong financial base and was really built to last. And we do about 2.5% of the national market, but we operate with owned operations in 7 Western states, in tier 1 markets that have 50-year automated title plants and very low loss to earned premium ratios. You made a comment earlier, Mo, about how the industry is different all over the country. It is exceedingly different. I mean, databases are different, loss experience is different, business practices are different. As everyone knows, insurance is regulated state to state. So we decided to own operations in 7 Western states, service the rest of the country with independent agents, but make sure that we didn't get just caught up in how many we signed, that we actually worked with the agents we have. And so we service our, excuse me, I should also add, we have an enterprise solutions group, which has been done really well being automated with lenders. We have a appraisal management company, and we have a default services group, and then we have a tech subsidiary called My Home. And we've built the company very, very methodically, very logically, but in a very sound financial manner.
Congratulations, you've done a phenomenal job, and you're my hero. I always say I want to become you when I grow up.
You're not doing too bad yourself, Mo.
So how have you seen the industry evolve over the years, and what legacies do you think are essential to uphold for all of us title agents?
Well, the industry, when I started back in the 1975, the industry was had just recently evolved into having a few national companies. As you mentioned, and as we talked about already, business is done differently everywhere. So the industry really grew on a local basis. Don Kennedy and Stuart Morris Sr. were both very instrumental in buying up agents and creating a national platform. So that really started to evolve in the late 60s and 70s. And we had a few players like we had Pioneer National Title, we had Safeco, we had a couple other players that came and went. But the industry became more of a effort that was focused nationally, despite the differences on a local basis. And then I think as a result of that, we've had the slow but steady evolution of our trade association, ALTA. And I've got to give ALTA a lot of credit because it has really started promoting information about the industry that helps. One of the problems we've had is that nobody understands what title insurance is. The first comment they have when they see title insurance is your losses are your losses are only 5 or 6% of your premiums. This makes no sense. Well, we're not an actuarial business. We're a risk elimination business. We have a lot of upfront expense in order to effectively eliminate risk. ALTA has been doing a real good job lately of getting the politicians and the public aware of what we do, how well we do it, and what would happen if we weren't around. I had a meeting with Fannie about 1.5 years ago. One of the subjects we talked about were the losses in the industry. They were stunned when I told them that for the preceding 20 years, the industry had paid out losses of $14.6 billion. And they go, no, there's no way. And I said, well, yeah, there is a way. That's what we've paid out. So, and we do that after all the money we spend on risk elimination. So yeah, go ahead and get rid of us and see what happens.
Yeah, yeah, that's we're definitely we don't do a good job explaining what we do. It's very labor intensive. and it's
Yeah.
expensive. You know how labor is; it's very expensive,
Yeah.
and it's a unique industry for sure. We want to switch gears here, and you're a techie and you're always evolving. So how the title industry is constantly evolving, as we've discussed. How has WFG managed to stay ahead of these changes, and what strategies have you employed to keep the company moving forward?
Well, the opportunity that I saw when I started the company still exists, and that is that the real estate process is very fragmented. It's fragmented because all the players report up to different regulatory entities. Business is so distinctly different in different markets. So the industry as a whole is not very integrated or very efficient. And, I did a study one time. This was almost 20 years ago, so forgive me. It's probably not exact anymore, but it still is pretty amazing how many times all the information is entered by all the participants on every transaction. Study I did actually was a 2002. We discovered, or we were curious about how many times name and address were entered by all the players: the realtor, the lender, the appraiser, the inspector, the title company. On average, nationally, the same data was entered 80 times on every transaction.
Wow.
Well, yeah, wow, what a waste of time and effort, right?
Very
And then also,
inefficient.
yeah, and then you also have all the errors that come with doing it that often. So, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. The industry is incredibly inefficient. Each segment of the industry has invested a lot of money in technology, has probably made meaningful progress in becoming more efficient within their segment. But we've got to get integrated and start working together as an industry because, I make a joke. Okay, I've been at this 49 years and it's changed a lot. It took 45 days on average to close a deal when I started. And it takes 45 days on average to close a deal today. So, I mean, it's just
Wow.
crazy, isn't it? I mean, we've got a lot of upside potential in this industry.
Yep. What key innovations or shifts do you foresee impacting the industry the next few years, and how is
Well,
WFG preparing for these changes?
the obviously the big conversation point now, and the press has beaten this drum to death, is AI. And AI, we've seen automated title used in this industry now was started Aqua in the year 2000 at Fidelity. That was the first immediate title report, and that in effect was the first implementation of AI. However, I think so now we have AI being used. There's a lot of different instruments, a lot of different automated title reports. We've taken AI and our decision point product and actually applied that across the process. So it isn't just about an automated title report. It's about actually when an order is opened, we can tell what needs to be done, how long it's going to take, and what the most efficient way to do it is. So we've used technology on the process itself and made little incremental improvements, which add up to fairly significant improvements. So I think there's still a lot of room there. There's a lot of potential interplay with AI for different processes outside of just a production. We do a lot of things in this industry. We have a lot of interaction, and we spend a lot of time on manual functions that we need to look hard at and see if we can't automate. We just need to get more. We need to apply technology across all processes, not just automated title.
Yeah, that's definitely as you deal with a lot of on the agency side, a lot of small title agencies that were the struggle is that to delegate and automate, people have a hard time with that, and I see that talking to a lot of industry peers. So what advice do you give to title professionals seeking to integrate automation in their operations while maintaining quality and service?
Well, I think you need to be careful, obviously, because AI, for all the opportunities it presents, also has a tremendous amount of risk if it's not carefully managed and used. I think, there's some obvious opportunities for automated payments and all kinds of stuff, but that probably just exacerbates the potential problem. So it's got to be done really carefully. My advice to title agents is make sure you partner with someone you trust and know, and that you proceed in a very logical, proven process. Nobody, no title agent out there has to be the innovator or initiate anything. You can capitalize. Most every title agent has multiple underwriter relationships, and you can capitalize on the lessons they've learned. So be careful, but be open-minded, and take a hard look at everything going on around you. Don't get stuck fighting the control battle. One of the biggest, pardon me if I get off on a tangent here, Mo.
No,
but
please do. I'm very passionate about this as well, the delegation.
All right. Well, one of the biggest issues I have seen in my career, one of the biggest impediments for progress I've seen in my career, is everybody wants to control everything. And people are really reluctant to engage with or use processes or systems that they don't feel like they can control. And that is a real problem, because the reality is you don't need to control everything. You need to control the decision whether you want to use it or not. But you can leverage things that other people have developed and take advantage of the risk that they incurred developing them. You don't have to do it yourself, right? So be open-minded about it. Don't get stuck with I've got to control everything. Yeah. Make sure that the only thing you really have to control are the decisions that are made, okay? And you can make those. But partner with an established company that has used a product or service or technology and used it successfully, so you can see that it has been implemented, used, and it works.
Awesome. I think that the struggle for people to delegate is that they truly believe that nobody else can do it better than them. And I always have this argument, like, I can promise you there are tons of people that are better than you. Get your ego out of the way, and it's just somebody better, smarter than you, which it's okay. You do exist. And especially for leaders, if you're an agency owner or leader for a company, you want to surround yourself with people smarter than you and better than you that can really run circles around you. It's how you delegate and to them, let them do the work themselves, because they're better than you.
That is very sage advice, Mo. The more smart people you surround yourself with, the more money you're going to make, and the more success you're going to have. And I can tell you this honestly, every day I have a realization, that is, I know less than I thought I did. You learn all the time if you keep an open mind.
I mean, this is the one thing that I love about you, Pat, is you're very humble. Well, so we appreciate you for being the person that you are.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. I've been blessed, and I feel blessed, and it's just. But you know what? It's a big, crazy world out there, and I don't know if there's anything that I can't find somebody smarter than I am or more experienced than I am that knows how to do it better. So I'm always looking.
Yes. Let's switch gears to pioneering in the industry. WFG has a reputation for being a pioneer in the industry. What groundbreaking initiatives or technologies have you introduced, and how have they shaped the company's trajectory?
I think probably the one thing I would call attention to that I'm the proudest of is our tech subsidiary, My Home, which developed the first statusing software. And by statusing, I mean, when we open up a resale transaction, the buyer and the seller, the lender and the realtor all get an email, and they can open it up and they can log in, and they will be automatically updated 14 times during the transaction. And there's also a part of the process that the buyer and seller could click on each segment as the circle is completed, and explains to them what happened and what's going to happen next. Now, when the nerds brought it to me with the idea, they opened up the conversation. They said, have you ever heard of the Domino Pizza app? And I said, yeah, I have, but why are we talking about pizza? And they said, well, we'd like to do the same thing for the title business. And I don't know if I ever told you this, Mo, but I invented copper wire fighting over pennies. And I, I, I can be really tight. So I'm sitting there and I'm figuring this out. And I have this epiphany, and that is if we can eliminate 14 phone calls or emails on every transaction, this is going to save us a lot of money. And so I got excited about it, and we put money into it. We did a beta test on 3,000 closings. We got it very, very well developed, and we continued to expand on it. And it's been very, very meaningful. But what I missed, what I really didn't understand, and this is one of the little life lessons. Yeah, it saves us money, but you know what it does? People come to a closing with a smile on their face because they haven't been in the dark for 45 days. They got a smile on their face. They know what's happened, why it's happened. The closings take half as long. The realtor and the lender get a referral, and we get more business. It has been a phenomenal source of increasing our resale market share and making this company nicely profitable because we get clients, they stay with us, we make them look good, they get good referrals, they get more business, they get more business, we get more business.
Awesome. I truly love what you guys are doing with my home. So how can title professionals cultivate a mindset of innovation pioneering?
You know, I don't, and I don't mean to. I'm not trying to rain on your parade or this question. I don't know if you have to be innovative. What I do think you have to be is aware of everything that's going on, what the trends are, where the industry is moving, where the clients are moving, and make sure that you can stay abreast of it. And then also the backside of that is make sure that you are prepared to take action if things go wrong. One of the biggest problems that people have is that they have not anticipated all the optionality that is out there and how they're going to react to it. If let's face it, we do not control the market, right? I mean, the market can go south or can go north, and the competition is who reacts quicker and better to the changing market. So if you got a plan and an idea about how you can do that, you win. And the same thing goes with innovation. You know, stay abreast of everything's going on. You don't have to invent things, but if they work, adopt them. If they work, leverage them, you know, and don't be afraid to use what your competitors do. You know, I'm sorry, I'm going to go off on a rant. To this day, I am still amazed at how some companies will not do something because their competitor invented it. I don't care if my competitor invents it. If it works, I'm going to use it.
Absolutely. Well, let's shift gear here to some personal insights. Do you have a favorite quote that guides your leadership style or approach to the industry?
Well, I'll share. You know, there's a lot of quotes out there. I'm going to share with you my favorite quote, and I got it from my dad. And you know, he always used to tell me, "Make sure you like the man you see in the mirror." And his point was, don't do things to impress other people. Right? Don't do things based on whether or not they make you look good or bad to other people. Make sure whatever you do that you feel good about it and that you feel like you're a better person because of it, right? And he was the most consistent person in my life. He was 100% the same all the time. And, you know, I can remember growing up and asking him about things, and he says, well, is that the right thing to do? And he made me think about that. But his quote to me was always make sure you like the man you see in the mirror.
Well, what a wonderful quote and example to live by. So I'm an avid reader, actually listener. I listen to a lot of Audible books and podcasts. And what's a favorite book you read recently that you want to recommend? Ideally nonfiction. I'm not a fiction person. Ideally nonfiction. So.
Well, gosh, I read a lot, and there's a lot of books that I like. Probably the book that had the biggest impact on me, I read a long time ago, and it was the name of that book is Extraordinary Popular Delusions and the Madness of Crowds. And it was actually written in 1841 by a guy named Mackay. And the reason I read it was the first book that actually examined financial bubbles. And the first financial bubble that it examines was the tulip bubble. I don't know if you ever heard of the tulip
Netherlands,
bubble.
yeah, of course.
Yeah, and and the book examines, I think, 6 or 8 financial bubbles. It's been a while since I read it, but it made me realize a couple things. And the one, and you and I've talked about this, is that people do things, based on dreams, wishes, and misinformation. And it's a really good reminder to always take a look at what you're doing or why you get excited about something. Peel it apart and make sure you understand what part of your thought process is assumptions and what part of your thought process is fact. If the bulk of your thought process is assumptions, really, really, really try to verify them, because you are taking risk, right? And human beings by our nature, we take risk. We like things. We like to get with the mob when it's running down the street, and you can make some huge mistakes. And right now in our market we're in, we're talking about AI. We're talking about AI. We're talking about AI. Some of it has applications to our business, and there are things we can do. But this is not just buy everything and embrace everything out there. Don't do that. Be really careful and thoughtful about what you do. Make sure you understand what part of your thought process is an assumption and what part of your thought process is based on provable facts. And if the bulk of your thought process is assumptions, really get analytical, because the risk factor goes way up.
Dude, I think it's basically think for yourself. Don't follow the crowd. And I think, I'm not sure who said, I think Henry Ford said it's like one of the hardest things to do is to think, which is most people don't think. You just would rather, it's easier to follow the crowd than to kind of be original, think for yourself, or not.
It sure is. It sure is. Yeah.
And we're coming to the end here very quickly. It's going so fast, and it's such a great time to spending with you, Pat. In closing, what's one key takeaway you'd like to share with the title professionals looking to navigate the industry challenges with all the cycles and up and down, and embrace opportunities for growth?
Well, one of the things that we did starting last year is we actually engaged producing an NPS score, a net promoter score, which is used in most industries, especially among large, sophisticated companies, to actually judge and rate their customer service. And this is, customer service is the core of our business, isn't it? It's something we talk about all the time. We always say, well, we give great customer service, or our service is better than their service. We're the first company in this industry to actually employ an NPS and follow it. And you know what's happened because of us doing that? It's gone up. It's gone up. We've shared it with our employees. They've gotten very engaged, and they've taken ownership, and they've gotten very thoughtful about what they can do differently. And we've improved our NPS score over the last year about 5 points.
That's fantastic.
Which is dramatic, and is having a dramatic impact on our new business and the retention of clients. So it goes back to that, instead of an assumption, verify what you can verify. And just going through that process of actually putting a number to it, sharing that with the employees, they've taken ownership of the customer service, and consequently, the quality of our service has gone up.
Awesome. And NPS score is fairly simplistic. Couple of questions. Would you use us again? Would you recommend us somebody else? How hard or easy to implement the NPS score? Because I've heard you talk about it at WFG Executive Summit a few months back, and that's definitely on my things to do. To implement.
Well, there's I don't know how many providers there are out there, 3, 4, or 5. They're a little bit expensive, but you can check it out and see if there's one you feel comfortable using price-wise. It is, and if not an NPS score, find some other outside source that will do surveys for you and give you a rating that you can use and share, right? And what you really want to do is you want to have a way of scoring your performance. How is it in the market right now? And then comparing it now versus 6 months from now. You know, it is amazing thing to me about management is the more information I share with my employees, the better they perform. Duh. I mean, it seems kind of stupid, but people have pride. Yeah, people work to get paid, but they also have pride in what they do and they want to do it better. So if you can help them score it, judge it, and figure out ways to do it better, they will do it better.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. And I can't wait to see you very soon here, and hopefully get on a golf course and play some golf together.
I would love that, Mo. Thank you for having me on your show, and it's great to be associated with you. Thank you.
In a world where change is the only constant, Mo Shamil stands at the forefront, guiding title professionals to not just grow their businesses, but to master the art of innovation. With every episode, you're handed the keys to unlock unparalleled growth and stay ahead of the curve. Get ready for a transformative journey